So could you tell me a little bit about yourself, sir, and how you got into public service and elected office?
Sure. Well, my name is Antwan McClellan, born and raised in Ocean City. I started out as a volunteer, helping out with my church. My mother and my father are very much in the church, so they're doing things as far as raising money. There's always things going on in our church as far as building funds and things like that. So I came up with the bright idea that I would run a basketball tournament. And I know a bunch of people, and we would always just start this annual tournament. So for 19 years now, I've been doing the Shiloh Baptist basketball tournament. So I've been getting people as far as Maryland, far south as Maryland, as far north as Maine to come out and play basketball for Shiloh Baptist. It's always the first weekend in May at Ocean City High School. So that, along with me coaching girls basketball, 7th and 8th grade girls basketball, and teaching kids how to play baseball with special needs. So those things are like my foundation of what I need to do in the community. At that point, I felt as though there was a chance for me to get involved with the schools more. So I was asked if I wanted to run for school board. I said, absolutely, I can give back to my school and be a part of that. So for 2 years, I was on Ocean City School Board. And then the councilwoman in my district, she resigned. So there was a need I felt in my district I was born and raised in that I can give back on a larger scale. So I ran for council in 2012, and I've been on council since 2012 in Ocean City. Was elected the first term in 2012, got reelected again in 2016. So I felt that was a way for me to give back to my community on a bigger scale, and I've been doing that for a while now. I thoroughly enjoy it. And now, fast forward now, on a bigger scale to get to the district. There's a lot of needs in this district that we have, especially if we have a high teenage pregnancy rate. We have a high infant mortality rate. So there's seniors that have needs that haven't been met. So I think there's an opportunity there for me on a larger scale to help out this district and go forward with that. And myself and Mike Testa and Eric Simonson kind of share the same qualities of life and the same things. We didn't know each other that well. I didn't know Mike at all. I knew of Eric, but I didn't know Mike at all. And just to get out and campaign with him and get to know, we share the same values of family, God, and community. Mike's a volunteer. He's been volunteering in his community long before he was elected to anything. Eric has been doing the same thing. And our promise is that we're going to do that while elected. We were doing it before we were elected, and we're going to do it after we're elected because that's just the type of people we are. I was born and raised in Ocean City. I lived there my whole life. Mike was born and raised here in Vineland. He lived there his whole life. Eric was born and raised in Lower Township, and he's lived there their whole life. And we're all etched into the community, and we all share that common goal of family, God, and community. And that's why we're here today to try to take that over in the first district and up to Trenton and let them know that the first district needs more from our elected officials in Trenton.
Up to Trenton.
Up to, excuse me.
Significant. No, you said up to Trenton.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
yes. So you took the seat in 2012,
Yes.
and that's a significant period of time. What were the issues that you worked on in this period of time that you feel are the most important for the the residents of the larger district to know about?
That I worked on in Ocean City.
Yes.
Well, in Ocean City, we had a lot of infrastructure problems that were going on. We needed roads and drainage. Those things were very important to us, and they had come into disarray from previous organizations that were leading us, and that was very important to my district and the city as a whole. So I wanted to do that. We wanted to improve our recreational programs. We have a great recreational program in our district. We wanted to improve on that and see what we can do for kids. Kids and seniors are the lifebone of our communities, and we need to protect them, and we need to encourage the kids and protect the seniors. And I felt as though that I can do that just from dealing with my church and being able to coach. So that I just felt that niche was mine, and I'm able to help that. So we were able to do that in our community. And then, even in 2012, I took office July 1st, 2012. Sandy came in late October 2012. So at that point in time, it was either, are you going to do something about this community because my district was hit pretty hard, or are you just going to worry about yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that we needed to do something to help out with our community. So I reached out to the other council people and the mayor, and we sat down and talked on what we can do for our housing authority. Our housing authority had about a foot of water in it, so those families were displaced. I had a foot of water in my house, so I was displaced. So my law office that I worked with at the time had over a foot of water in it, so that was displaced. So we decided as a group that we were going to go and make sure we get those families back because we didn't want to lose those families from our school district. We wanted to let them know they were loved here in Ocean City and they're important in Ocean City. So we were able to put them up in a hotel in Ocean City that allowed them to stay there while we, as a city, repaired their homes. And that's what we did, and that's what we wanted to do as a community, and we were effective at that. And that was probably the best part of being a councilman over these last 7 or 8 years is being able to get those families back and let them know that they're loved, and it was very important to me.
When you look at your opponents in this race and the incumbents, do you see anything that jumps out at you, or was there a moment when, as a councilman, you felt they weren't responsive in any way, or is it more of an ideological uh, appetite that is different from theirs?
It's more of ideological because at this point I feel as though they're there when there's things to celebrate and to give out proclamations and things like that, and that's great, and that's a great part of it. But are you actually hands on? Are you in the community? And I don't necessarily see them in my community all the time. I don't see them up in here in Vineland now that I'm getting around. I don't see that all the time. So they need to know, they need to be in touch with the people and have a full understanding of what's going on in the community, and not just to come and celebrate events and give out proclamations. There's an opportunity to break bread with people, and you want to sit down, and that's when you learn about what's going on and what the struggle that people have when you sit down and have a meal with them. Not just to come and give them a proclamation and celebrate when somebody does something well, but stay after a little bit longer and see what's going on in their life, and get a full grasp of what they need, and what we can do to make the community a lot better.
I'm trying to remember the political history of Mr. Malam, but are you the only person in this race who was actually elected to a local office?
No, Eric Simonson is the mayor of Lower Township.
Gotcha. Okay. Pardon me
Mm-hmm.
for my ignorance, but
No, no problem.
was anyone else, or was anyone on the Democratic team first in local office, to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I just didn't know. Um,
Yeah, I'm not
is,
familiar. I know they're from Cumberland County,
right.
um, but I'm not familiar with what they did previously.
So that local service, you believe that gives your ticket something distinctive, I would guess.
Absolutely, it's huge because you're in there getting down and dirty with the people in the community, and they see you on a daily basis, so they know they can come and touch you, and talk to you, and one on one or in groups or anything like that. And we're always around. We're not just there just to come and do something when something well is going on. We're there when it's our low points, and we're there at our high points as well. And I think that's very important, that you need to see that out of your representative, because that's what we are. We're representatives of the community, and that's what everybody needs to fully understand. We represent you as a person, as a community, as a district, and it's huge. And they see that out of the three of us, because that's what we do.
Now, I can imagine, based on some of the things that you talked about that led you into politics, what they would be. But are there specific things you want to work on in Trenton if you get there? What would they be from a legislative standpoint?
Well, first and foremost, Route 55 is a huge problem that I think we should be able to address there. I know, Mike Testa and Eric Simonson feel the same way. Is that we need that. You know, Cape May County is a huge tourism district, huge, and we're giving over $500 million to Trenton in tourism each year, and for us to only have not even a quality evacuation route to get out of Cape May County, it lacks throughout the state of New Jersey, throughout this nation, that Cape May County is a huge part of this. Cumberland County is a huge part of this. And why can't they have, you know, not even just an evacuation district? What about infrastructure that's going to allow for bigger businesses to come into our district and make it more of a year-round feel, as opposed to just, from May to September? We need that in our community. We need that in our district, and I think that's huge. Opportunity for us to help out our seniors, and the seniors are a big part of this community. If you check out in the Cape May County, seniors are a huge part of what's going on in Cape May County, so they need to have an understanding that we're there to protect them, and we're there to be with them at all times. And kids and programs out here in Cumberland County, there's no parks. How is there no parks out in Cumberland County? That's a problem. And why are the kids that aren't able to go to a park and play and things like that? So that needs to be addressed. And so there's things like that I think we're able to help out with.
The general majority PAC mailer. So that hit, and what was your initial response to it, and how do you think that ultimately it will play in the district with the voters?
My initial response was disappointment. I was like, this. If you're in touch with your constituents, then you know what's going on in your district. And even if they're going to say it's coming from Camden County and not us, Camden County should kind of share the same issues. So they should have an understanding what's going on in their communities. And to make light of something that happened to somebody, a financial problem, which everybody goes through, it is what it is. But if you're running as an incumbent, then you should have successes that you should be able to speak about. And for an initial piece to come out, you should be running on your record. You should not be trying to down somebody's character. And if they knew anything about me, they would know what I've done in my community and what I've done even in Cape May County, what I've done for the officers that I work for at the sheriff's office. So they would have an understanding that to affect somebody's character is a real big issue, and it's pretty much made a whole bunch of people irate. So if you want voters to support you, then you don't kill somebody's character that has done absolutely nothing wrong in their community. So, and I think they're out of touch, and it's very disappointing that they would do that instead of running on their record.
Do you think voters will see that? In other words, see a negative mail piece as the initial contact by incumbents, and understand that this is a reason to vote them out?
Absolutely. I definitely. I've been just the reaction I've gotten from my community and the people that have seen the mail piece. They're appalled, and people are more upset than I am about what was sent out, and people are tired of that. People are tired of being negative all the time. People want to hear about positive things and what you're going to do to help in the community. They don't want to see you browbeat anybody. It's a new age, and people want to see positive things going out and talk about yourself and your successes as opposed to trying to down somebody else.
So I think we're living in a time where the extremities of both parties seem to be loudest, and maybe it's always that way, but it seems particularly so now. How do you identify yourself as a Republican? Are you a conservative Republican? What's your temperamental inclination in the party? Do you see yourself as ideologically predisposed or more of a pragmatist? What kind of Republican are you?
Just a Republican. And it's real simple. I want to help people. We have a lot of common goals and common values that in this Republican Party that people don't seem to understand. There's a whole misconception about Republicans that they're older white men with a whole bunch of money and don't care. And that's just not the truth. That's not the truth at all. Republican Party is a very inclusive party, and there's a lot of values that we instill in people in our community and that we think can radiate throughout this state and throughout the country. And it's very important that people see that and read past that line of being a Democrat, where Democrats are all about African Americans or minorities or stuff like that. That's just truly not the case. It's a different time, and it's a time for people to look behind that wall that's been created.
Are you offended by the Democratic Party's handling of minority issues, or its segmentation, presumably, of people along ethnic and racial lines? What's your take on your opponent's party's treatment of minorities overall?
I don't know how they treat minorities overall, but I know what I am tired of. I'm tired of people coming into churches during election time and begging for votes and wanting to be taken out in the black communities by a black person or something like that, so they can go to the door to door to say, I'm here to support you, and then the next 2 years or 3 years you don't hear from them or see them again. And I think that's a problem. We need to change that, and that's just not who we are as a group. And it's time. This is the opportunity to let them know that we're in your community and we're going to be in your community, not just for an election. We're going to be here because we care about you. 365 days out of a year. And I think that's the most important thing that we're going to come across as when you sit down and talk to us and break bread with us. Mike loves to eat. I love to eat. And the funny thing about this election is everywhere we go is someplace that we go to eat, which is not a problem. It's a great thing. But that's what we're about, and that's how you learn about people. You sit there and you break bread with them and you talk to them, and I don't take this kindly. My mother at the beginning of this election had a heart attack. Mike was the first person to call me. So Stuff like that means a lot.
Mm-hmm. How's she doing?
She's doing great.
Yeah.
She's doing great.
Well, I'm sorry that that happened.
Yeah, it happens. But
Yeah.
he was the first person to call me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And she's out of the hospital.
She's
And,
home,
oh God,
pacemaker,
that's
doing great, talking
Yeah.
trash. So,
great.
gossiping on the phone with her church ladies. So she's doing good. She's doing real good. But
That's great to hear.
That's what I know. Family is important.
Right.
Community is important. God's important. Sorry to get choked up. But
No, that's quite
meant a
all
lot.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Just glad that she's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How has the campaign been on your friends and family? Are they in war paint mode? Foxhole?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, they were good because everything was good. We're out there just working and campaigning, and then the mailer came out,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like, oh, it's a fight. So it's not a fight. They're a little scared,
Mm-hmm.
and change scares people, and when they don't have anything good to say about themselves, they want to attack people. So, and I think they're going to find out that that's just not a good way to be about business.
Mm-hmm.
They run on your record instead of trying to attack somebody and bring somebody's character down.
Councilman, do you have any political heroes, people that have taught you or that you look up to, or those you've learned from to shape your leadership style and your leadership priorities?
Uh, Absolutely. The council people that I work with are unbelievable. Starting with Mayor Gillian, 100% cares about the people. He's not in any type of controversy. He's not talking bad about anybody. He generally cares about the people, and that's the approach he wants us to have as a council. So we're not downing anybody. What we can do to help. We're not always 100% right, but we're going to try to help somebody and help our families and help our communities, and that's the best thing for us. Councilman Keith Hartzell and Tony Wilson, unbelievable as far as giving back to the veterans, and I learned that. I have veterans in my family, but I never knew the importance of being in the community and giving back to the veterans of our community. And I learned that from them. That's very, very important. And Mike DeVigler, Pete Madden, and Bobby Barr are unbelievable. Bobby Barr is a childhood friend. Love him to death dearly. And we've just learned how to communicate on a different level than anything else. And it took our friendships into our communities, and we care about Ocean City and our little bubble that we have there. That's tremendous. And hopefully I can take those values and take them up to Trenton and let them know that there's work that needs to be done, and there's a way to do it. And if that's reaching across the aisle, that's reaching across the aisle. But as an elected official, you know this, that you need other people. One vote doesn't matter. You need the majority vote. And so you talk to people when you have your agenda coming out and you see things on it. You talk to each of those representatives and let them know this is important to me, this is important to our community, and this one needs to happen. And if they have an understanding of that, then that vote's going to come your way. So for somebody to say, there's an attack piece with me saying that I voted to raise taxes 23% of the time since 2011. I took office in 2012. I didn't vote on the budget till 2013. So that's kind of interesting. But if you check Ocean City's tax base is not just one of the best in the county, one of the best in the district, but one of the best in the state. So our tax base was so bad, my running mates the incumbents wouldn't be living in my town and have their vacation homes there. So things like that just are very important to know that as a group, we make that decision. We make those decisions as a group, and I think the three of us, when we go to Trenton, we're going to let them know that District 1 needs these things, and we're going to walk across the aisle and let them know that this is important to our community. And I think you should take a look at it, take a serious look at it, not just a observation. Take a serious look at it and see what our community needs.
I'll ask you the same question, the same last question that I asked your running mate, and that um, is there a particular book that you have, an inspirational resource that you've leaned on in your life?
Not really a particular book. I mean, the last book that I can say I read was in 2017, and it was Roots. And I've watched the movie.
Alex Haley.
Absolutely. And it's just it's a story of strength and perseverance. And I've learned that in my life, that you got to have a lot of strength and perseverance to make it through. Everything is not going to be roses all the time. So you show your strength and your perseverance, and you rely on your family and you trust in God, and that'll always get you through.
Thank you, sir.